on to the best part of the episode. So we see Mona and NOBAY, the We Are Liars evil twin for Toby,
Yes.
planning something. But NOBAY feels that this plan is too risky and not thought out. I don't really know what we were talking about here, but we'll see. But Mona tells NOBAY, that it's too bad because they need to know that she's in charge,
Yes.
confirming that Big A is indeed a female. So
Yes,
there's
I did
that.
grasp onto that.
Okay. Just making sure you got that.
Yeah.
NOBAY even mentions to Mona that Spencer is lying to him, telling him that she hasn't been receiving any A messages. He's kind of pissed about it. Or he's just like telling Mona, venting to Mona, like, yeah, she won't even mention that she's getting messages from A again. And then we see him in the morning at the loft, and I guess this plan was that I guess the plumber was coming, and therefore Emily had to get in his apartment because of this. And they have this banter about Lord of the Flies and the plumber that she'll be waiting for. It's basically all a ruse by Emily to get Toby to go to Spencer so she can have the key, because it's Spencer and Toby's anniversary, and she wants to surprise him. During this time, too, she tells Toby that the girls have stuck together, not like the boys in the Lord of the Flies book. And Toby says, "Well, yeah, you kind of have something to thank Mona on." And she's like, "Well, not really. Like, I don't." We don't thank her for that. And then he says, "You would tell me if anything was still happening with A." And she was like, "Yeah, but it's not. So on to the next." So he's just like really fired up that nobody is admitting to the fact that there is A. I mean, he probably feels like, I'm putting all this work in.
Right. Right.
God, nobody wants to
Yeah.
mention me or anything. It's so rude. But so Spencer gets the key from Emily, and she's decorating his apartment. She gets wine. She makes her, I guess, grandma's famous lasagna recipe. That what it was so cute is the Scrabble game. Like, I love you.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it's
love
so
that.
it was. She did such a great job.
Also, the fact that
Ultimately,
Veronica was in on it and totally
oh,
supportive.
it was so
I know.
cute. I
You don't
loved
get
her.
that
I,
many
a
scenes
soft
between Veronica
Veronica?
and
Like,
exactly. That's such a good one.
Almost,
yeah.
I don't think we've ever seen her that nice, and I don't
No.
know if we'll ever
Towards
see her again
Toby,
that nice.
too. Yeah.
Right towards
Yeah.
Toby.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was happy to help out and kind of be the excuse for Spencer, which was that Peter was getting honored at some dinner and they all have to go and they just will have to celebrate their anniversary the next day. So to add Hannah into all of this, she gets an interview with a fashion designer in Philly. I guess we went to Philly. It was very unclear if she actually went to Philly.
Yeah.
It looked like different than
Yeah.
Rosewood, but maybe not too far. I'm not really sure. But she goes to this interview. She's very excited about it. In the morning, she's like kind of telling Caleb, like, what should I wear? And it's a cute banter between the two.
I love that scene with them too.
He's like, you
It's
got to
so
try it
cute.
on for me. Oh, it was so
Yeah.
cute. Yeah. He's so charming. So while she's on the street walking, she's looking in the window, and behind her, I didn't even catch this the first time I was watching it, and nor is it in the transcript. So I'm glad I watched it again for the third time. That she sees a red coated figure
Mm-hmm.
with blonde hair, and when she turns around, they're not there anymore. So I was like, oh, that was a nice addition to this scene.
Yeah.
So she goes into the clothing store, and it's dark inside. There's nobody around except for a black hooded figure, in which they pushed all these mannequins on her and she fell to the ground, and it's really
So
dramatic.
dramatic,
It's
isn't it?
so
So
I was
ridiculous.
dramatic.
laughing. I didn't mean to laugh. I was like,
Oh, it
oh,
was really
this is
Oh,
laughable.
really
the
It was
just
drama is so
hilarious.
funny. Like
So hilarious.
they
like that.
like they must weigh nothing,
Nothing.
surely.
I know.
What is
It's just
happening?
at this point, like, I just don't think I would go in anywhere by myself at any point. She goes and she's like,
Absolutely
"Hello,
not.
Corinne, are you in here?" It's like clearly they're not, so just walk away. Don't
Yeah,
go in.
big
Right.
time, big time.
But she goes in, she gets basically attacked by A, but little does she know there's a key that was clearly not hers, so she picks it up and it's got an A on it. She's like, it must be A's. And what I think is so funny is that we had a scene earlier where Spencer and Toby are at Spencer's house and Toby is showering and she realizes he's got a hole in his pants. I didn't put this together until like the second time I watched it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
duh, Toby. You should have had Spencer sew up that hole real quick, but you
Mm-hmm.
didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so he dropped the key. And just so happens that Hannah gives it to Spencer. Like, what if she didn't give the key to Spencer?
I know. And then
Yeah.
Spencer just puts it in her bag. I'm like, can we please store this somewhere really just safely?
Yeah. But she knows
Yeah.
she has it open on the counter at her parents' house, which I guess to her, she was going to do something with it, but not at that point. And so she's home. And at this point, Michelle had sent me the video that she was scared that Toby had popped his head in
Oh no,
at the
I was like,
window.
Oh
I
my God.
cannot handle this. I'm cracking up right now. Is this for real?
So funny. I was literally like, oh my God. Like his face just like so
I'm like, this
funny.
can't
It's
be
like, what are you
real.
doing?
This is so
What are you doing?
Lauren, I don't
Like,
know if you recall
honestly.
this, but there was a very, 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 very early on scene in the first season with Toby, and he's talking to Emily, and he's like super mysterious. And he like grabs a tree and like turns around, and I don't think we've laughed so hard in our entire lives. We're like, is that for real? Why did
It's
we?
let
It's
me tell
so
you,
bad.
it was in like it was so Edward Cullen, like
Edward
because that
Cullen
was
Toby.
yeah,
yes.
100%. That was the rage at the time, and they were like, "This is our bad boy," like spider monkey, like oh good God,
It was so
Toby,
like when I
bless
think
his
about
heart,
it, that's what I think about when I think of Toby, unfortunately.
like
So like any little
you
thing I'm
know.
like, "Ooh."
Oh, he has such sweet scenes, but then he says stuff that is so cringe. Like
Right.
when he's like, "You don't want to know Noel," and he like pushes him. Like, come on, come on. How do you
Yeah.
expect us to take you seriously when you're doing goofy shit like this all the time? Like
I know. It's
It's
like
so
you're on the A
true.
team?
I
How?
know. I
right.
How did they let
know.
you on?
It's almost like it's a goofy. It's kind of like silly
Yeah.
that he's even attempting to be evil. Because
I
like
know,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
while he looks tough, we know I mean, yes, he could have a very dark side to him, but
Mm.
it's just the way when he opens his mouth and he speaks, you're like, oh, he's soft. He's fine. It's
Yeah,
just
like
Toby.
Yeah.
he plays Scrabble and he wants to learn French.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not evil, surely. Like how has this
I
happened?
know.
Uh,
Unfortunately, he's pretending he's evil, and he's like, "I'm really believing this. I'm evil," or he's NOBAY, and he's just the
he's
evil
a
twin.
twin or something. Yeah.
So
Honestly,
yeah,
it's
but I
just
feel
not the
like
same. Like when he's in the
no,
lair with Mona and he's trying to be like, they're still not telling me about A and like all this stuff. It's like
it's
it's
not.
not really giving what it
It
needs to
doesn't
give.
No,
deliver.
no.
You're so right. It
Yeah,
doesn't. It doesn't
bless
deliver.
him.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But they should make a point to show that Spencer has this key out on the counter. Toby surprises her with these beautiful flowers for their anniversary. I guess he realized that she'd still be home, I guess. And
Yeah,
this is
weird
before
one.
dinner.
Like, aren't you supposed to be at this dinner? Why aren't you dressed?
Right. Right. Why aren't you getting dressed or whatever? And then she does kind of say like, "Oh, I have to go get ready." And but what's so great at this time, we had as the audience had already seen that there is evidence that he was in Radley in his draw at
Mhm.
his apartment. So the audience is like, "Oh no, there is evidence there." But I feel like while watching, you're like, "Well, she's surely not going to find it.
Hmm.
It will all be okay." And then later on, she sees him at the house and she says, "Oh, that key is for Melissa. It's not what you think." And you see Toby, he's like shitting a brick inside. He's like, "Oh my God, I dropped this. What are you going to do with it?" She puts it in the drawer and then he leaves. And they do such a nice job, I feel, of tricking the audience into making you think that Spencer is on the phone with Toby in Toby's apartment when in reality, she's not in Toby's apartment. She's actually at her house. And so we see Nobe break into the house, come in, stealing the key, but there's no key there. And he's caught red handed by Spencer. And this
My
is
Like the
God.
lightning.
good.
It's like the
Yes.
flash of lightning, and then
Uh,
she stood behind him.
It's so good. I love this scene
So
so much
good.
because as the audience, you're like, yes, finally someone sees that Toby is like working for the A team. It's
but
so
also
good.
heartbreaking for
But
Spencer. I
I
mean,
right, for
know.
Spencer to be the one to figure
heartbreaking.
it out is awful. And he basically just says like, how long have you known? She shows him this pass from Radley, slaps him in the face, and then unfortunately Veronica comes in the door and he escapes immediately, but she then is left to be like devastated, sobbing in her mother's arms.
I
This
know that
really
scene
kills
is
me.
so, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
it's
killed me so
devastating.
much. Yeah, like she was supposed to have this nice night with her boyfriend and it's all ruined. And I was reading on the wiki page, and like as you do watch, when you watch it for like the third time, this scene where she is talking to Hannah and Emily in, I think it was Hannah's bedroom, her energy is definitely low.
I was
And
gonna say, do you,
yeah,
when you view it, do you see it as she already knew,
she
or do
already
you,
knew.
yeah,
I think
I
so.
think the same thing. I think she found the pass before. I don't think she went back and like found it. I think she found it when we saw it.
Yeah,
And then
agreed.
with the key, she was then like, okay. And then I think she purposely left it on the side so that he would see it and he would know it was there. So then she could catch him when he came back for it.
Yeah, just like
It's
Wow.
all
to
so calculated.
right,
Yeah.
to prove her suspicion, like, okay, I know that you were in Radley. That is, still doesn't mean any, it doesn't prove anything. But if you were weird about this key or asking about it, I'm just gonna leave it in the drawer to see if you come by. If you don't, then you
Mm-hmm.
don't. That's great. But if you do, oh my god, how devastating! And
Yep, 100%.
she was proven correct, and he just immediately leaves. Oh, and then she later goes to his apartment and she opens the door, but she doesn't go in. So I'm like, did the bolt lock stop her?
I thought
Because
it
she's
was
I
like,
she was
think it's
so
on the chain.
Oh, was
Yeah.
it?
right? Because
Okay.
they don't show it, but I'm also like, okay, maybe she didn't want to face him. But then if she
Yeah.
were to open the door further, she would have seen Mona was in there. So I
Yeah.
guess Mona must have locked the door, right? She
I
must
think
have
so.
bolted the
Yeah.
door. And Spencer is just pleading and crying to the door, like, I know you're in there. Please explain something. Please tell me this is not true. And Mona's just in there drinking their wine, listening to the
The
classical
audacity of that woman. I
music
love
in
it.
her black hood. She's like, this is great.
Yeah,
So
Queen.
I don't know what do you both think was their original plan? Was it the attacking of Hannah at the store? Like what were they talking about earlier in the day of the plan that they're not ready for? Like what, I don't know what they meant by this unless we haven't reached it yet, and maybe I'm just, or maybe the plans changed because Spencer figured it out that Toby was a
Yeah,
part of the
that's how I took
team.
it. Plans changed because Toby's been exposed.
Yeah. Ugh.
There's like well, like discourse. There's like theories about whether it's I feel like you can read it in two ways because obviously they do show you that he has the hole like in the genes, but then other people like, do you think he dropped the key on purpose
Mm-hmm.
so that they would find it because he was like, whatever this plan is, it's like too soon, or he
Oh,
wanted Spencer to know what was happening or wanted them to catch him so that he, you know, that they
to
could
prove
start
that
to,
this was not the plan. The plan shouldn't have gone this way, or to ruin the
yeah.
plan,
So
basically. Yeah.
do you, I don't know, do you think it was a complete accident and he was completely caught off guard, or do you think they intended for that to happen, or do you think, because like obviously at the end Mona's very like, seems like this is exactly what I wanted
Right.
Spencer to be heartbroken and torn up over this, so was that the plan for her to find out in that way, or yeah,
Wow.
was that what Mona wanted but Toby didn't know that was happening? Like it's like, who's pulling the strings? Are
Yeah.
things ever really accidents, or is it Mona and Big A were like, right, this is perfect? Like, are they double teaming and keeping Toby out of it, or was
Mm.
it all planned, or was it just a complete accident that then Mona was like, well, it went the way I wanted it to go anyway?
Yeah.
It's like so
I
many
think
different
Ooh.
options.
I think Mona was happy regardless that Spencer was
Mm.
upset,
Yeah.
and that it what however that was achieved, she didn't really care unless like the ultimate goal, I guess, was to torture one of them, and so she did
Yeah.
basically. I don't think he intended to drop that key. I think he was really surprised when Spencer called him out. I really do. I
Yeah.
That scene is really good. Really,
Yeah.
really good.
It's
Yeah.
so good, isn't it?
It's just as
It's
good
also
as
so
the reveal,
stupid
I think.
because he is allowed in that house. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
him being like, obviously Mona when she goes places is like black hoodie, you know, she's trying to like sneak around. Toby can go into that house.
True.
So why didn't he just go in like normal? Like why did he dress up in the whole outfit?
So
what was he gonna
true.
do? Like dress up in the hoodie to go and take the key, but then was he gonna like, because obviously he didn't know Spencer was gonna be at the apartment, or did he? Because like Mona knows everything. So did Mona, was she like, there is no dinner?
Yeah, because he
Like,
could have snuck in, and if he got caught, let's just say, be like, oh, I wanted to surprise you for when you get home.
Right.
yeah,
Or
if he'd just been dressed up like normal. But
right.
then also, because yeah, did he know that there was no dinner? Or did he genuinely think there was a dinner? But
Right.
A knows everything, so A should know
Right.
there's no dinner. So it's just like, it's too much. It's too much to try and keep track of. That's why I'm like, maybe Mona did, this is what she wanted, and Toby was shocked, but then
Yeah.
she wasn't. Because then would he have come back to the, like, was the original plan that he would come back to the apartment, Spencer would be there like surprise, and he would be in the black hoodie? Like,
Yeah,
did
right.
Mona think that's how it was going to play out?
Or maybe Mona was like testing him, like, are you A-team worthy? That
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, I know this is all happening, and are you going to make the ultimate sacrifice and try and steal this key back from your girlfriend on your anniversary?
Yes.
Like, do the ultimate betrayal and risk, like, she knew he was gonna get caught, but
Yes,
he didn't
yeah.
obviously know he was gonna get caught. But it was kind of like a hazing, like, you gotta go, you gotta do what you gotta do. And unfortunately he was caught by Spencer.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, was Mona like,
it's so many
he was always
layers.
going to get caught? Or did she, yeah, because it seems like she wasn't surprised, or there wasn't like a, because usually if it's, you know, like someone's going to get caught, like in season 1 when they is it season 1 or season, oh, maybe season 2, when they accidentally hit A with the car and they drop their phone.
Yes.
Like A is what, Mona is obviously like panicked, and it's like, oh, I've left the phone, like, oh my god. But that didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like, oh god, like Spencer knows a member of the A team, like, quick, we have to try and sort this out or anything. Mona's just very like,
yeah, she's chill
this is
about
exactly
it.
what I
Relaxed.
wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
I think,
and then it's like, where's Toby?
Right.
Where is
Where
Toby?
did he slink off to in the night? If he's not at the apartment, where is he?
Bucks County.
It's so heartbreaking.
He got in his truck and he was like, I've had enough.
He's peacing out. Yeah.
Well, he's like, I can't show my face for a long time now, because
yeah,
literally kill me.
Yeah.
Now leaving Rosewood, he's like,
yeah,
that's right.
Getting out of Dodge.
That's right. Yes.
He had to flee. Our listeners want to know, who do you think Spencer will first tell about NOBAY, and when do you think we'll eventually figure out what his motives are?
I don't think Spencer's going to tell the girls for a little while.
She's going to hold on to it.
I do. Yeah. So I don't know when.
That's out of like just pure heartbreak, or do you think she's going to try and figure it out herself first?
Yeah, I think pure heartbreak, and then she's going to try and figure it out herself.
Right? Like
go with some reasons of,
yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen.
When do you think by the end of the season will the girls know about Toby by the end of the season?
Yeah.
And do you think we'll know why?
I do.
By the end of the season?
I do. I think that the Toby NOBAY stuff is going to be wrapped up by the end of this season.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully,
right?
Along with November.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of like related / unrelated, but one of my favorite dynamics is Emily and Toby.
Yes.
Because I think they're so like sweet together. Like, are you like, how do you think Emily's gonna react when she finds out about NOBAY?
I think she's gonna be really upset. I think they're all gonna be like in pure shock. Pure shock.
Yeah, I think they'll probably be in shock, and like us, will be in disbelief that this is what actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any other dynamics that you'd like that we don't see as much? Because I quite like Ari and Caleb have had some like funny scenes before. I think they're quite fun. Like Ari and Holden I also really liked. Like,
we loved them. I love Spencer and Caleb.
Spencer and Caleb.
Yeah.
We really liked
They have a
their
fun little dynamic as
yeah.
well. And like
Yeah.
Hannah and Toby, you never
Yeah.
really see them like
Yeah.
interact that much. Like
Yeah.
I feel like there's fun little dynamics where you're like, oh, actually, they kind of work well as a little like duo.
I mean, even on that note, seeing Paige and Caleb together in this episode, that was a fun
Yeah.
duo. That was a fun little meetup that they
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Them working
I think it's
together.
so like they kind of stick with their people
Yeah.
a lot of the times. And it's
Yeah.
fun to then see them interact with people they don't usually speak to.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed. Yeah. So, I mean, over to Hannah's storyline, we hear she overhears that Caleb is on the phone with someone, and they're talking about Hannah, but they're also talking about Mona. And immediately he lies and says that it's his mother, and Hannah's like, "Interesting. What does she know about Mona? That's obviously not like I know you're lying." He doesn't admit to anything, but then she asks Emily to figure out where Caleb's going, who he's meeting, because it's clearly about Mona. And Emily goes on this, investigative walk to see where Caleb is going. And I'm not really sure exactly where this is because it's not the brew. It must just be some other random coffee place in Pennsylvania near near Rosewood.
It's so funny. They just come up with these like random locations that you never see again. Like that's
Never.
the building they used for the French vegan restaurant
Oh,
that
yeah.
like Ezra goes to and like
Oh,
Byron
yeah.
sees him at. And there's like all these weird places where they're like, oh, I went and got coffee from this place or I got pizza from like, let's get pizza from here. And it's like, these are just the same buildings. Where are you guys? Like, we know you just have a little town center. We've got the church. We've got one row of shops. So where are you all hanging out all the time that isn't right here?
Right. It's just Stars Hollow. You don't have anything
Exactly.
else going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess
It's
it's
so
just
funny,
supposed
isn't
to
it?
be somewhere else.
I
Because
Like
it
also
you
doesn't have the
see
brew sign.
Emily's house, and it was I think it was the antique shop or something, and then you see the Rosewood Grill, which is like Luke's, and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is just
You see Miss
it's
Patty's
so
in the
funny.
background all the time, and
All
I
the time.
cannot help but think
Yeah.
like Miss Patty's is happening back there.
No.
But the thing that struck me with Emily going on her stalk, she's like, "How am I supposed to do that? I've never followed anyone." I'm like, "You girls follow people every
All the
episode. What are you
time.
talking about?
Talking about
I
What are
know
you
this
talking
was.
about?"
It would have been simpler if she was like, "Got it, done." We don't need to have the explanation
Yeah.
of my mom used to follow Tom for Isabel,
Right.
and we
No.
don't need any of that.
We're 3
No.
seasons in. You guys
We're
know how to
wasting
stalk.
Time. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just wasting time talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
But-
like all the near misses where it's like, oh, if she just stayed, she would have seen that it was Paige there.
Yes,
Like,
of course.
Exactly. Yeah, so he's waiting at the coffee shop, and Emily misses the fact that he is meeting up with Paige. And during this time, they discuss how obviously they're so beyond over this Mona lurking with the girls and destroying their lives and just really like basically ruining everyone's lives. It's not just the girls, it's their partners and their families, and they're so ready for her to be done. And they want to figure out how to potentially get into where she's keeping her new A stuff. They're like, there must be somewhere else that she's hiding everything. So like they're planning on trying to figure that out. And then we do see Emily and Paige really briefly in the episode, and Paige tells Emily that, I'm going to talk to someone later on about my anxiety, which I guess you have to assume now that she meant Caleb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she's not
I
really
also
going
love
to
that
a
she did a
therapist.
full-on picnic. Like, how long do you get for lunch at school? Like, and she's put like a full-on picnic table. Also, she was oh, like kale salad. Like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, be happy. I'm like, what do you mean? What did I do to deserve kale salad? Like, come on. Like, what?
I
You're gonna surprise
know.
me at school with kale salad? Good
I don't
God.
even think like at the time, like obviously kale has always been trendy for a long time, and like I never liked it. I really enjoy it now, but it's an acquired taste. However,
Yeah.
I don't think that's something a 17-year-old would be excited for that you brought them during lunch.
No,
And
it's
I'm
so
like,
funny.
and there she was like, it was like roasted chicken and kale salad. It's like, how about a sandwich? I would have loved if my partner made me a
Right.
sandwich
Right.
during lunch that I had for a half hour. You don't get like this big, long,
Yeah, bring me a cupcake.
extended-
Like,
yeah,
It's a weird character trait. It's like, oh, this is what Paige likes to eat.
yeah, like
yeah,
we
I guess
had
she's
to
like an
make it.
athlete. Like,
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she eats healthier. I
Yeah.
guess so yeah, that's a good
Interesting.
point. Like she couldn't just eat like pizza. It
Right.
had to be
I
kale
know,
salad
yeah.
and grilled chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Like, are you like a
yeah,
bodybuilder? Like, good gosh.
yeah, basically,
I
she's got
came
to
to
make that
thank you
weight
with a
for
salad.
swimming, right?
Right.
I don't even think I
No.
think like obviously swim season over. It's so hard to tell because again we're only in November,
We're only in
so
It is,
November.
well, I
it's
think
still the
that's
beginning
another
of the
thing
year.
as well that, again, with season three, you start to see more where it's like everything that isn't A related kind of just goes to the wayside.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
like, you know, they were used to go to swim meets and they used to, do this, or they would be in class. They would be like, I've got a test, or I've, got this, or like we'd see them in class a lot more. And now it's like you kind of only really see them eating lunch at school
yeah,
or
Yeah.
before school or after school. And it's like all those little like quirks or things they had. Like obviously Spencer was on the field hockey team and
yeah.
she's uh, all of this stuff. She does all these extracurriculars and she takes classes at Hollis and whatever, and all that stuff just goes. It's like anything about the characters that is outside of the A story, forget about that. They don't do
Yeah.
that anymore.
Right.
That's irrelevant. It's
That was
all
like
about A.
when they went to college on Gossip Girl.
Right.
Like, oh, that's
Yes,
a joke. They went to college for
it's
like one episode and then just talked about going to
so
college after
funny.
that. And then just like all of a
Yeah.
sudden nobody was at college anymore.
No, they were like that first three episodes. They're like, oh, okay, we're just starting. We're going to start this secret, join this secret group with our little keys and whatever. And
Yeah.
then no one ever goes again.
Unfortunately, a lot of those, as you know, a lot of these teen drama shows, if they have too many seasons, too many episodes, a lot of things are not going to be explained and not going to be completed. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So with
yeah.
Pretty Little Lies, are you kind of at the point now where you're like, how much longer are we going to be in high
Well,
school? Or
she has
like, are you
already
kind of,
asked
I
me.
have asked, and I'm like,
yeah,
when do we leave high school? And she will
yeah,
not give
like,
me
are
the
you,
answer.
I was going to say, you still like, this is fine. Like, I like the Rosewood High setting, or are you kind of like, I'm kind of want something a bit different from the show
Yeah, well,
now?
I'm like, are we juniors?
They're seniors.
They're seniors.
Yes,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, season three, they're
Seniors,
going into senior year.
we're in November. So going into the fourth season, we should not be in high school anymore.
You
Mm,
shouldn't.
However, I don't know
yeah.
how long we're in November for. So maybe like I'll give
Right.
you the first half of season 4 and maybe you graduate first half season 4 and then second half maybe we get a time jump and that's where we take off because we have to get a time jump. I'm feeling a time jump is happening.
Mm.
I can confirm to you there is a time jump. I just won't tell you when it
When?
is.
That's okay.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like all of our good shows, there is a time jump.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
find it so funny they never did one with Gossip Girl because yeah, like Desperate Housewives, like One Tree Hill, we had like
Yeah.
the time
And
jumps,
the
but
OC they didn't
The
either.
OC,
yeah,
no.
but Gossip
Well,
Girl was just like
a little bit time,
no,
like months, but
we're
not
happy.
years.
Yeah.
Not years. Yeah.
Yeah, I do love a bit of a time jump. I love a bit of a refresh.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it can be done well, sometimes it can not be done well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially when they are like I think Troy in season three, like I think she just turned like 30, I think. Maybe? Or she was like late
she's your age.
20s.
She's your age in real life, Michelle. So how old were you in
Oh,
2013?
20,
I was
20.
like 22 in 2013. 23 in 2013-ish?
I guess I'd be 26.
Something like that.
Yeah, so like they're in their
But
like
later,
mid to late,
But
like
yeah.
Yeah.
mid to late 20s. Like
Like you don't want to play a teenager. So we gotta
that's
age.
the thing,
We have
yeah.
to we gotta fast forward a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you can kind of feel it at a certain point it also just gets a bit unbelievable.
Well,
Like
sure. Yeah.
yeah, you're kind of like, okay, like, we've been following these girls in their teen years for a while now. Like,
Yeah.
surely time is passing. Like, let's like,
Right.
see what
Yeah.
where they're
Yeah.
gonna go, what they're gonna
Exactly.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Kat says, Michelle, what do you make of the new Caleb Paige team up? Vic adds, were you surprised to see them together?
I was surprised to see them together. I welcome it because again, like what we talked about, I like seeing different pairings going on. And
Yes,
I'm
yeah.
excited to see how far they get. I don't think they will get very far, though,
Mm.
unfortunately. I think they're going to be caught like super soon.
Do you think caught as in like by their partners or caught
Yeah,
by A?
caught by their partners. Like, I
Yeah.
think A's just going to think they're a joke.
Oh,
Yeah, like, I don't see this going
He's
very
like,
far. Yeah, no,
you
I'm
think
not
you
even.
can take me
Yeah,
on?
no.
yeah. I don't think
Yeah,
there's anything at this point that the girls can do that A would be like, good one, you know? Like
right.
like
I
they've
know.
tried it all.
There's so many steps behind. Every
There's
time they
so
think they're
many.
a step ahead, A is like,
They're so
you
behind.
weren't. I knew you were going to do that.
Right,
Right.
right.
That's why it's so frustrating. I mean, obviously that's why we could have a show that was 7 seasons. Because
Yeah.
A is always one step ahead and the girls just truly have a really hard time ever getting the leg up on them. I mean, we had it the one time when they had their cell phone, and that was basically it. And
Right.
you know,
Right.
the
Yeah.
Mona Spencer figuring out Mona with the gum wrapper, like that kind of
Iconic.
iconic.
So
I
camp.
mean,
I loved it.
but
So good.
you know,
Like the cashmere sweaters is the way that she figures out who A is. Stop it.
yeah,
So
I
good.
know it was so good. I
Amazing.
really do. I love that reveal. But other than that, they're SOL basically most of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's go over to Lucky Leon's ladle. This is the ice cream flavor sent in by our listener, Michael. He pairs it with the episode each week. This week's flavor is Happy Pops Lemon Mint, an ice cream
Ooh.
bar made of lemon juice, water, organic cane sugar, and organic mint. Since sickness is the theme of this week's episode, I thought I'd bring a frozen dessert and some ingredients that help you out when you're sick. First and most obvious is Arya, who is actually sick, but I don't think Meredith was putting any lemon or mint in the tea she was giving Arya. Next, we have Caleb and Paige, who are both sick and tired of the liars and themselves living in fear. Finally, we have poor Spencer, who is sick to her stomach over the discovery of the identity of a member of the A team. While sickness is the theme in Rosewood this week, we as viewers are not getting sick of this show, at least not yet. There are still 4 more seasons to go. I give this episode, he just puts, I give this episode popsicle sticks. He didn't tell me how many. Well, I'm just going to
I
say you
love
gave
that.
it 4 popsicle sticks, Michael.
Yes. Yes. Thank you,
Yeah,
Michael.
that was fun. I've never actually thought about a lemon mint ice cream bar, a
No.
frozen dessert.
Yeah, it's like sorbet.
Yeah, I guess so.
Mm.
Refreshing. I mean, that
Yeah.
sounds good when you're sick. A
Yeah,
little lemon.
absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Michelle,
Yes.
I was gonna ask, and then we started talking about something else. The reflection behind Hannah. What
Yes.
do you think?
What do
Do
you
you
think of
think
it?
it's Allison? Do you think it's someone trying to look like
Uh,
Allison? Do you think it's just another blonde we haven't met yet?
Yep.
oh, I
What are
Big
you
love that
thinking?
questions.
idea. I love adding another blonde. I think it was someone who sparked a memory in Hannah's
Oh,
mind
okay. So it
for
was
her
all
to
just
think.
like a bit
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Fun
a
for
trick of the
us.
eye kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Trick of the eye, fun for us, but really it was just a part of Hannah's memory. Like,
Okay.
her Hannah thinking that was reminded her of Allison or a girl in the red coat, but it was just another girl in the red coat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
kind of
Yeah.
like in season one when Spencer like thinks she sees Allison in the window, just kind of like
Yes.
a, oh, was that? No. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe? Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lauren, who was your MVP of this episode?
I I think I do have to give it to Spencer.
Yeah.
I think I
Mhm.
do. Because I think it's just we see so much from her in this episode, which is so fun. Like you see like the sweet side and like the cute, she's all excited and she's got a Scrabble and everything. And then yeah, you can see the subtle ways that she's kind of figuring it out. Like you said, when she's talking to Hannah and Emily, and she's a bit like, oh, we'll just leave it till tomorrow, because she kind of is like, I've got a plan,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
figure this out. And then, obviously finally when she leaves the key as the trap and she's one step ahead of him, and that heartbreaking like reveal of it, I think obviously it's like Troy's acting, but we see so many different like shades of Spencer in this episode, and she's doing it. She's moving the story forward, and just that scene where she is crying outside of the flat, I had to give it to her for that. I really
Yeah.
did. It
I
was
have
so
to
good.
agree.
I agree too. Spencer's also my MVP for all the reasons you said.
Yeah.
That she had a great episode. Great
She really
episode.
did.
Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah.
Are we unanimous on picking Meredith for the shittiest of the episode, or does someone have a different opinion?
I actually do have a different opinion.
Who is it?
I went with Byron.
Oh, good one. I mean,
Yeah, well, I always hate Byron, so.
I was going to say, I feel like any episode that Byron is in, it's usually him.
yeah,
Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I feel like he gets away with so much. And I don't think he ever truly suffered for what he did. Because that scene in The First Secret where he basically alludes to Ari. He's like, well, you don't want to like break Ella's heart by telling her this, do you? Like, you don't want to break up our family, you know, like if you have to, I understand. Like so much gaslighting and
So
like the way that he
manipulative.
speaks to her when obviously in that scene she's 13, I think, or 14, she's supposed to be. I feel like he never paid for his crimes with that because asking her to do that was insane. And I've held it against him ever since. And then
Same.
again, it's like the reveal is like you said, it's just kind of anticlimactic. It's like he's involved, and then it's like, oh no, but he wasn't really. Like
What
he
do
was,
you-
but he
But you're
wasn't.
still suspicious. So,
Yeah, and what do
Yeah.
you make of
It's just-
I don't
it's
know
just
if you
dodgy
watched
business.
last week's episode, Lauren, but at the end of it, Mona is on the phone. She says, I gotta call you back. He's leaving. And we see she's at Byron's office and he's packing up to leave. So I'm like, is the phone call that he needed to go on this business trip from A, or was it actually from his job? Like, I'm so confused about what was going on there, and I don't know if
like
we
what was the
even-
motive there?
Yeah.
Did they want him?
Yeah.
It's like, does A know? Like, does A just read everyone's thoughts? Like, did they know
Right.
that Meredith would go crazy if he left?
Right.
Right.
Like,
But
are they
why would they
watching
think
her and
Yeah,
saying,
like-
okay, she has the tendency that she could actually hurt Arya, so we're good with that? Or I don't know.
Yeah, and also I
Right.
feel like whenever he goes on these trips, he's always going to like, is it like Syracuse or something?
Yeah.
yeah.
And you think the way that Ari talks about it is he's going to be gone like overnight.
Yeah.
So like when she messaged him to be like, come back, he's like,
He was there
right there.
I
away.
know.
Where even was he? Like maybe
Right.
did A send him on a wild goose chase? Like maybe he
Right.
got there and they were like,
Right.
oh, we don't need you. Like you can go back or
Yeah.
Right.
so yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
very
yeah.
like they plant these little seeds and it's like it doesn't really add up.
Right.
Okay, I'm glad I didn't miss
Yeah.
something because I was sitting here pondering, wondering what was the point of all of
No,
it.
I think it's all just to make him seem suspicious, but then and like did she follow? But she can't, if that's the thing as well, it's like who's following all these people all the time? Because we see Mona at school,
Right.
but then and Toby also has a job,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's like so she was following Byron, but then is her mother not like, where are you at
Right.
9 o'clock at night when Byron's leaving work? Like
Right.
where is my daughter? Like
Right.
just lurking in the shadows, like
Right.
Yeah.
at Hollis.
It's such a good,
So, yeah.
that's such a good question. Like, what does
It's so
Mona's
funny.
parents think about all
Yeah.
this?
Are they
I know
not like
Toby doesn't like
where
talk
are
to his
you?
parents, but
Yeah,
Right.
Toby's like a law unto himself. He's got his own apartment. He's
yeah,
like he's
That's
a bit
right.
more
he's
easy
the
to kind
adult of the town, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Alright.
also so like crazy.
well, yeah.
That he's like
Right.
living in a flat above, the brew. He's got his like carpentry job. He's not that much older than them, I don't think. I think he's
No,
only
he's
meant to be
only
like a
a
year or
year.
two, if
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And they're like, no, he's an adult now. Like
Right.
he's driving his truck, he's living his best life, you know? So that's fair. But Mona, I'm like, also, how is she still, you know what is so funny to me as well? Is like she obviously in Radley was able to get out. We saw that in the Halloween episode. But when she's back home, she really made it seem like her parents were like, worried about her. Like they didn't want her to go back to school, but she did.
Right.
So when she's in what they perceive to be like a fragile like state of mind, why do they not care where she's going? How is she able to just go and still be A without them being like, why are you leaving the house all the time? Like,
Right.
should you not be in recovery? Like here?
Right. Unless she's just, I'm
Very
imagining her being like, oh, I'm now team captain of the decathlon team, so I have to go to
Yeah,
study
that's
practices.
true.
And then she keeps
She's
her hoodie
playing
in
them
the
as
back. Like, she's
well.
playing them.
Right.
She's playing them.
Yeah.
The only
Maybe
explanation.
she's got like, like the classic like teen movie, what do they call it? Like it's like a trellis or something, like when they climb
Yeah.
down from their
Oh
window.
yeah.
Maybe
Mhm.
she's got one of them.
And
She's
she
just like, oh, I'm just
probably
going to study.
has the mannequin she painted in the and it's lying in her bed.
That's right. With the covers
Exactly.
over it. Yep.
Because
So her
that
parents
would
just
trick anybody.
Of
Apparently,
right.
that
course. Of
that paper
course.
mache face would it's uncanny, really, how much it
I
looks
know.
like her.
I know.
I know. But all like great questions that I doubt will ever get answered as to why, how Mona does the thing she does and why her parents don't seem to notice. But
Hmm.
just another mystery in this show.
Yeah.
What would out of 10 we have to rate how cringy this episode was? What do we think? We could talk it out. We don't have, we don't have to settle on a number right away, but
I think we
the
have to factor in the Toby jump
we
scare at the window,
have
surely.
to have to.
Yes.
Um, and Meredith knocking out Arya. That was also like
Yes.
be
Yes.
so real right
And
now.
also just the Hannah, the mannequin scene. I can't. I really.
I was
That was
also
bad.
gonna
That was
say
bad, yeah.
even Hannah just asking Emily, "Can you follow Caleb?"
Yeah,
Like that just was
I know.
another thing unnecessary. I'm gonna give this episode maybe like a 6.5,
I think
yeah.
it has earned it, to be honest.
It
I do
Yes.
has,
think it
right?
has.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 I agree.
It was still good though, but the campiness
It's
and the
so good.
craziness of the Arya storyline. When I think of Meredith, and I hadn't obviously seen this episode in a really long time, I was like, the thing I think of when I think about Meredith is that she drugged Arya. Like there was no other.
Yes.
I had no other memories of her, basically because there's not really anything else going on with her.
No, not really.
But I was like, oh, okay, we finally reached that episode that I remember at the time being like, this is ridiculous. Like, we were yelling at the
So
TV.
funny.
We were like, "Oh,
Just her
come
lying at the bottom of
on!"
the stairs, like,
Yes.
Yeah,
girl.
it's
Yes.
ridiculous. But
Do you guys have a preference between when it leans more into like, I guess this episode is kind of one of the more horror-y kind of
mm,
ones, like same with like the Halloween train. You have ones where it really leans into like the scary elements, and then you have others that are more relationship based and yeah, more like high schooly. Like, do you have a preference either way, or do you kind of like when it's a bit of a mix of both?
I mean, I truly like Halloween. Michelle and I's favorite holiday is Halloween. I love
Mm.
spooky. I love spooky movies. I like creepy. I like when the show
Yes, me
goes
too.
creepy. So to me, I want like give me all the creepy bloody dolls. And Michelle will
Hmm.
disagree with that. She
Yeah, but
hates bloody dolls.
that makes it interesting for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when the show goes dark and spooky and creepy. Creep me out because I that makes it more fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When we get
And
snooze fest
yeah.
episodes, it's like if you're not even driving the story.
I
That's
almost feel
Yeah.
too like I would rather, obviously it hurts me to say it, but I would rather them all also be single because it would make it easier for them to just
mm,
go as they please and not have to
Yeah.
tell anyone, yeah, I mean, while they should be. A is after me. They should be telling someone this. They should be telling their parents and the cops, but that's a whole nother entity that we have been saying since season one. But, it's easier if they are kind of already devastated to keep in that dark theme, that darkness.
Mm.
right.
And then therefore there is more that A can do to them, unfortunately. So while I don't want them to not be in relationships, I do really enjoy the relationship. Besides Ezra and Arya, I do really enjoy the relationships we get on the show. Um, but yeah, it would be almost easier like if Caleb and Hannah weren't together. Spencer and Toby obviously weren't together, but I do enjoy them. Obviously, Toby not now.
Right.
Bless.
Right.
Yeah, he's in the doghouse big
He's in
time
the
at the minute.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But there has to be an explanation, right, Michelle?
That's right. There has to be. There has to
There
be.
has to be more to
Yeah.
the
This
story.
Yeah.
better not be where he just disappears like Meredith. And we
Can
get
you imagine
no
he disappears
I
into the night and you never see him again?
I will flip a
Goodness.
table. I will that oh, I will be really angry about that.
I don't blame you, but
Okay.
it is Pretty Little Liars.
No, I know. I know.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so we have the episode next week, which is 317. The title is Out of the Frying Pan into the Inferno. And my little secret for you, Michelle,
Shh.
is that Emily receives a package from Lyndon's family that reveals some secrets about Allison. She's so confused.
Lyndon B.
Like,
Johnson?
Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon
The-
James.
Yes, yes.
The stalker himself, the killer.
Ugh.
Okay, so maybe his family didn't know, obviously, who he was, truly was. Feels terrible. Found some things in his possession, sent it to Emily. And in there's stuff about Allison.
Hmm.
What the heck? I
Yeah.
thought we were truly done with him, like at the whole, all of him, you know?
To be honest, I did not remember that this
Yeah.
was how they got this information on Allie. So
How
I
did you feel about that reveal? Were you like shocked that it wasn't A related?
yes.
we were ready to see him go. He was a very irritating character.
100%.
But she did not predict really truly until that moment where she was like, "Oh, wait."
Yeah, no, I was
Is he
shocked.
bad?
I was shocked, but also I was like, what a waste of time.
Yeah.
What a waste of
Exactly.
time. Unless, like, now is this, I mean, I guess it's tying in Allie stuff, I guess. We're just, I think it's just going to
Yeah.
be, I honestly, I'm not sure what we're going to get, but I think it's going to be some more journal entries or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do feel like, well, if he was truly just a stranger, then what are we doing here?
Right. Don't waste my
Like-
time.
Like Maya knew? Well, about what? Because they make it seem like she
Right, Maya
maybe
knew
knew
what?
who A was or knew who killed Allison or, you know, and then
Mhm.
it's just like, oh no, it was just some guy that was obsessed with her. That
Right.
was it.
Yeah. That was something we never talked about again, and the girls didn't even talk about the fact that they said that Mona told them that Maya knew. And I'm like, hello, are we ever going to address that Maya knew?
Yeah.
Knew what? Whatever
Knew
it was, but
what?
we'd have no
It's
idea.
so funny.
We
Like,
still don't know.
Mm-mm.
no,
She
there's
knew.
no. It's so funny because you like things happen and it's almost like, did you forget that that person said that to you? Because like with like Aria doesn't. I think Hannah and Emily. I can't remember if Spencer does, but they tell the other girls that they saw Allison,
Mm,
and Aria doesn't say anything, even though she specifically says, "I'm surprised Spencer hasn't figured it out yet."
yeah.
Like maybe
Yeah.
she was just like, "Oh, this is just a dream. This doesn't mean anything." But it's kind of
Right.
like I maybe would have said, you know, I maybe would have
Right.
mentioned this
Because the other girls have also said, I've seen Allison.
yeah, and she doesn't. I don't think she ever tells anyone about this little like
Mm,
dream
yeah.
sequence. She's just like,
Wow.
you know, Allison came to me and warned me about the tea and also said that we see A everywhere and Spencer should know who it is. She never tells anyone that.
Right?
Like that
Wow.
seems important, no?
Yeah, it seems that that should come up.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Another
The
thing
things
that
they just forget
the
happen.
writers were
Another
like,
thing.
if the writers don't like jot it down, they're gonna forget. They need to
Yeah.
have like a
They should
show
have, I
Bible,
mean,
but-
I'm imagining they have a board up and they have the web and everybody's storyline. Like, this is how it should be.
well, you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But there's just too much going on. Like you have the biggest thing is the A of it all. And then we also really have the at large is still who killed Allison. We don't know that.
Mm.
Those are the two things that we all want to know. But then they have to unfortunately give every single liar and a million different other things they have to worry about and secrets they have to keep. And like Ezra with the freaking kid situation that will be, coming up soon.
Mhm.
So,
Oh God.
which is
God.
another like Arya has literally kept this secret since like the beginning of season 3. I feel like
Mhm.
right? Like we've had this secret for too long. Just get it out in the open so we can move on because we don't need
Yeah.
any more stupid little secrets. We just want to get to the juice. We just
Right.
want the good
And
stuff.
also, like, just when you rewatch it as well, there are so many points, like we said earlier, where it's like, did no one think this is too much now?
Yeah.
Like so so we have he was engaged, lest we forget. This man was engaged to be married,
Yep.
and he now has a kid.
Yep.
Like Arya's 17, and this man has already almost married somebody and has had a kid with somebody. At no point are we like, maybe Arya should just let this one go. Because, well, obviously Ezra is the one that should let it go, but we know that he's
Right.
not responsible at all. It's just like you add these things in to obviously create a rift between them. But it's like, do you forget you're creating a rift between a 17-year-old and a 24-year-old man?
Right.
And you're just like, oh no, this is just something they have to overcome. No, this is end it. This is
Uh-huh.
get out territory right now. We don't
Uh-huh.
need Arya the stepmom. She's 17.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Agreed.
Right. Like a whole scenario we could actually just this would be a good stepping stone for Ezra to just go. Bye-bye. Go do what you
Exactly.
have to do with your newfound family, and Arya can live her life and be on her own and do what her teenage self needs to do and graduate high school and find out who A is, like, and
Yeah,
not be attacked all the time and not be
Yep.
threatened by her
exactly.
evil stepmother. Like, there's, it's just we don't need so many things.
Yeah.
No, it's
We're
too
very
much.
smart. We're a very smart audience. We don't need to. We can just handle the one plot and we would be fine with that. I don't know
Yeah.
how entertaining it would be. I'm sure they could have made it more entertaining somehow, but everything else is just it's so unappealing.
And it
Mm-hmm.
also sometimes feels like because there are so many storylines, it's almost like they're all. Whereas you could have one storyline and it could be 100%. You've now got like five storylines and they're all at 20%. Like no
Right.
one's really investing into all of them as much as they could be because there's just too much. It's
Right.
like if you were just focused on the A1, maybe you wouldn't have things like why was Mona following Byron? You wouldn't
Right.
have things like that because you would be more focused on making that make sense than you are. Okay, there's A, but there's also Ezra has a kid, which is like he's not one of the main characters here. I mean, he kind of like
Right.
is like they really like push him to the forefront, like outside of the core four, like he is in there. He's in like every episode. So it's
Yeah.
like calm down. But it's like we don't need him to have his own arc. Like we're already tired of him.
Right.
And now you've got this whole new storyline that's kind of just about him and it's like we're not looking for that. No one
No.
asked for it.
No.
We don't
Yes.
we don't care.
We're
No.
very tired. We're very
Yeah.
tired of
Exactly.
him.
We
Yeah.
are.
We
Yeah.
are.
But that is the end of this episode. It was a great episode. It was a great episode to have you on because it was a really fun event that was happening. I mean,
Yeah.
this Spencer Toby stuff like really makes
When you sent me
this
like, oh,
episode.
which one do you think? And I saw that this one was on there, I was like, it has to be.
Yeah,
The reveal is so good. It has
it's
to be
so
this one.
good. And then we
Yeah.
had our friend Seth on for the original Toby reveal, that was such a great episode too. I was like, oh, our guests are getting such great episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just
that's
works out that
such a good
way, and
reveal.
yeah, so we're so happy that you could join us. Obviously, the description for the episode will have all of your links, but if you want to tell the peeps what you've been up to lately, we know you have some Pretty Little Liars stuff going on.
Yes, so I am in in the middle-ish of writing a book about Pretty Little Liars. It's kind of
Bless
like
you, girl.
I honestly, sleepless nights,
Yeah.
sleepless nights. Um, and yeah, it's basically like a guide to the whole show. It's got, like behind the scenes things and things about like the production and the making of it and little fun facts about each episode. Um, and also kind of like delves into more things like the Ari and Ezra storyline and like how they handled the eating disorder
Mm.
episodes and all that kind of stuff. There's kind of a bit of a dive into the not so amazing parts of the show as well. So it's kind of, yeah, it's a bit of a guide, an all inclusive guide. So that doesn't have a release date yet, but that'll be this year.
That's so
And
exciting.
then, yeah, I mean, if you like Pretty Liars, Gossip Girl, One Tree Hill, or Desperate Housewives, that's all I talk about basically on my channel. That is it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you ever thought to yourself, like, oh, is Aria Montgomery a vegetarian? I have a video on it. All the nuances, all the ridiculousness.
I
It's
love it.
just, yeah, a deep dive into stuff that you think to yourself, is anyone going to watch this? And then they do. They're
They
just as
do.
invested and ridiculous as we are, and
Yes,
I
this is
love
the
it.
fun of it. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I applaud you and I pride you on your very, very in-depth episodes. They are extremely informative. I will be using them as my guideline until your book comes out because I need the help. So I look forward to seeing everything that you do in the future. Like I said, you really are like the source for Pretty Little Liars, especially for me lately because I find some things very confusing.
It is. I mean, even I'm like, there's still some things that are just, I don't know. And that's all I can say.
Right?
There's
And that's,
no
you know,
answer
and
to
that's
it.
okay. And
And
that's
that
okay because you
sometimes
can't
you
know
just have to be
everything.
okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to be like, this show hasn't been on the air for almost 10 years. So I need to that's just never going to be answered for me. And that's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And we'll have to just feel the same way, Michelle. If we have
That's
a
right.
Yeah,
question,
you will.
I
You'll
mean,
get to the end of of season 7 and you'll be like, I just have to be at peace.
I just have to.
I just have to let it be.
And you know
You
what's
do.
so crazy is that obviously, without giving anything away, I truly, and I'm probably in the minority, I really like the finale episode. I really like how they did some things there.
I am like, yeah, similarly to what we said about earlier, when you watch it again, you have a newfound appreciation for things. And I'm in that same place now. When
Yeah.
it first aired, there was a lot of uproar. Again,
Yes, it
no
was.
spoilers, but it was a very controversial
Definitely.
ending. As with many other things in this show, to be
Yes,
fair. I feel
many other
like
things.
probably from like this point onwards, you're gonna get some crazy business happening. But I think there's things to really love about it as well.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see what you think if you land on the side of, because I wonder what it would be like to just watch it now for the first.
Yeah.
Like I'm so envious that you're just watching it now for
Yeah.
the first time
Yeah.
because I think when we watched it and we had been so invested and so like watching it every week, it was a completely different mindset to watching it now when you can kind of like decode it and go back and watch everything like and think about it in a different way. So I'm interested to see if you're going to be like, oh, loved that was great, or if you're going to be like, what was that, like why?
Yeah, and I honestly
can't wait.
feel there's probably a very, very, very slim chance that Michelle will be able to predict the big two things that are going to happen in the future.
Yes.
So I look forward to this journey with her, and Lauren, we'll have to have you on again.
Yes,
I
please.
would love that.
You know it all, and hopefully, we'll be later in the show so we can talk about more things.
Yes.
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 But no, this was so much fun. Thank
I'm
you for
so
asking me
glad.
on.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for
yeah,
being here.
this is my favorite Pretty Little Lies podcast. So you
Aw.
can quote that. You can put that wherever.
So
It's
sweet.
so fun. I think
you.
it's such
Thank
a
you
like
so much.
fun dynamic that you guys have, that it's like someone that's never seen it before and someone that has, and but also because you haven't watched it recently, like you're also still like, there must be things where you're like, I completely forgot that happened. Like especially as you get to like the later seasons as well, like
Yes.
there's so much stuff that is like just comes out of nowhere, so it's so fun to like, even though I've seen it so many times. It's like when I made my boyfriend watch it with me, and he was obsessed.
Love that. Oh,
He was like, oh my god, yeah. Like I was like, I want to watch it, and he was like, oh god, I can't believe you. Like I got him with Gossip Girl, I got him with Desperate Housewives as well. Wow. He was like, this is incredible. He's like, I have to know what happens next. I have to know who A is.
And
like,
so nice.
But it's so
partner appeases you.
Oh yeah,
sure as hell does not.
I think Ant would be into PLL.
Ant would definitely be into PLL.
Like it's one of those things, like sometimes it is just good TV. Like
absolutely,
who cares what the demographic is? Like you can just have fun with it.
Yeah.
But it's so fun like watching your podcast, even though I've seen it before, because you haven't seen it before. It's almost like I get to see it for the first time in a weird way. Like
Hmm.
it's so fun to see what you think. And like, yeah, like you said earlier with the hole in the pocket, like I've seen this show a million times and I never even clicked that the hole in the
Same.
pocket is then meant to be like, oh, of course he dropped it because he's got the hole in his pocket. Like, and it's like, yeah, even still, I never thought about that. So
It's
it's
great.
like fun to still, yeah,
Yeah.
still realize things like we said at the beginning. It's so much fun. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for joining us. And we look forward to, the release of your book and we congratulate you. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Michelle and I will be live, right? It's the
We
first of the
will be
month.
live.
Holy
Yes.
moly.
Oh, that's
We're
so
So
fun.
reaching
patrons,
March. My
come join
goodness.
us.
Oh.
Yes.